Hello, hello, everyone. All right, let me make sure that we are set on Facebook. Cool. All right, hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I can't believe we're halfway through the week already. Um, I went to the gym this morning and I was thinking about how weird it is that we have this obsession with being young. Like everybody wants to look young, and there's all these women getting lip fillers and all these things. And if you have it, no judgment. But I do have this feeling that society has put this pressure on women to make us look a certain way and act a certain way in order for us to feel like we can be loved, in order for us to feel like we are worthy. And that is so not the case. I think that getting old is really such an amazing gift that we get to have. And why are we trying to hide that? I mean, I've got my grays coming in. I'm loving the gray highlights. It's great to see all that stuff coming in. A little bit of lines. That's because I smile. That's because I've lived. And it's sad that there's such a focus in so many women that are feeling like they are not enough because of how they look or whether or not they're in a relationship or any of those things. And so before I introduce the guest, I just wanted you to kind of take a second before we start our Lunch and Learn Summit. Be Your Own Valentine, this kind of goes along with it, is I want you to just kind of sit in stillness for a second. And I want you to imagine what your soul, or listen, I guess, to your soul and what it's telling you. I don't care if you're in a relationship or not. I don't care what's going on. I want you to listen to what your soul is. And I want you to tune in, like listen to that little voice inside of you that is saying, there is more for you out there. What is it telling you? Because how often do we ignore that little voice because we feel like we have to do all the things. I have to look a certain way. I have to have a relationship. I have to, be successful, or we have all this noise that's in the way. And the world is crazy right now. There's all this noise. Well, when we sit in stillness and we listen, what is there? What is the lesson that is there? What are we not paying attention to? Because all of the noise is keeping us from doing those great things we were put here to do. Us trying to fit in the box and mold of everybody else is keeping us from doing the great, wonderful things that we were put on this planet to do. And time ticks, it ticks on. And every moment that we are obsessed with politicians, with the relationship, with what other people are doing, with what we look, all these things, we're obsessed with all these things. We're taking away that time that we have, that precious time to do the great things that we were put here to do. So imagine yourself in 50 years from now, looking back. Do you want to look back and say, wow, that was fucking awesome? How lucky was I to be able to do all those wonderful things? Or is it going to be, all I did my whole life was try to make everybody happy, and damn it, that left me feeling pretty empty. That left me feeling like I had not stepped into the person and the things that I wanted to do for my life. So, this is not to make anyone feel bad, but I do know just so well with the amount of women that I've worked with over the years, and men too, that there was this voice inside of them that told them what they needed to hear, but we ignored it. So stop looking for somebody else to come and save you. Stop looking for somebody else to come and fix it all for you. Take your power back and start listening to that voice inside of you that is telling you what you need to do, and get out of that fear mindset that it's not possible for you, or that you can't do it, or that you're not enough to do the wonderful things that you were put here to do, because you have a gift that nobody else has. Let's not waste it on people, places, and things that are not even worthy of our time and energy. So just my little pep talk before we jump in. This is day 6 of our Lunch and Learn series for Be Your Own Valentine. And so last week we had David come and talk about mindset. We had someone talk about finances and divorce. We had someone talk about meditation. We had a divorce coach that specializes in helping you save money through your divorce. And today I'm really excited because we're going to have Michelle Coffey. I'm going to introduce her in a second, but she's going to be talking to us about how the need for a man that so many women have been told. And if you're a guy and listening, please listen in too. This is not going to be, this is going to be good for everybody. But that reliance on others to get the things that we want, and thinking that we don't have to take care of ourselves, is not a good way to live. And so Michelle's really going to be able to, she's going to share, and we're going to do something different. I'm actually going to remove myself and let her do her presentation, because I think this is really important to listen to, whether you're in the thinking about divorce phase, you're on the other side of it and you're rebuilding, really being able to focus on self and making sure that you're taking care of your needs is going to be really important. And finances are a big part of that. So let's not be afraid to talk about the big things, the important things. All right. I'm going to add Michelle. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Stephanie. I really, your little opening hit home quite a bit. There's a huge list of things that I'm going to do one day when I lose 50 pounds. And I really need to get going on that list. I don't know what I'm always waiting for. And that made me think. I was like, there is a lot of things that I just got to get going on. This mythical time might not happen. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's so often where you hear about people getting into accidents, something, health issues, all these things that none of us know. We don't know how much time we have.
Yeah.
And so, like, why do we keep putting it off? What's the big deal? I had a friend of mine, she's like, I'm going to go to the gym when I lose 10 pounds. And she ended up gaining another 30. Like, there was no reason.
I hate chicks like that.
Yeah, but it's not, it's just, but this is what our mindset does.
I know
that. It's our thinking. Well, I'm not going to, and I have so many beautiful women that come to me a lot. The reason why I don't have a great relationship is because I gained 30 pounds or I don't look a certain way or whatever. It's really just all about our mindset, what we're thinking about ourselves. So, I think if we can take care of self, and the Be Your Own Valentine theme, I think is perfect for this because, we have to be able to listen and stop worrying about the world and putting it off to some other time. Stop being scared, living in this fear mindset, and just do the things. Nobody else is more worthy than you are. Why not?
Yep.
Why not create the most amazing life and live as long as we can, as happy as we can?
I agree 100%.
Well, and so I'm going to let you take the stage. I'm going to remove myself and I'm going to let you do your introduction because I think this is really going to hit home for a lot of people. So everybody who's watching, make sure that you are commenting and interacting because the more you interact, the better it's going to be. And we can always go back and respond. We'll check in, but, definitely ask your questions. And if Michelle can't answer live, she can go back and answer after. So stage is yours.
Okay, great. And I just want to make sure, I don't know if you can see my slides. I haven't used that platform before. Do the viewers see my slides or?
Yep, they'll see it. Your face is going to go in the corner and they're going to see your slides.
Perfect. And I also noticed I have to reposition my plant because it looks like bad bags or something for me. Okay.
You are all
Hi,
good.
Everybody. My name is Michelle Coffey. I'm a financial advisor in New Jersey. I specialize in women going through unexpected widowhood and divorce. So just a little bit about me. My firm is called Sea Change Financial Planning, and I picked that name because the domain was available, and also because a sea change is when the weather switches and the tide switches and everything goes in a whole new direction. I kind of like the whole vibe. And how I got into financial planning, kind of building on what Stephanie said, was a family friend passed away unexpectedly at age 36 and left behind two very young children. And whenever I kind of get up in my feels about my gray hair and going through perimenopause and everything just being harder, I think to myself how much that person would like to be here today. And sometimes I stop complaining. Other times I plow right ahead. So this is my presentation. I do in person quite a bit. And I'm also sorry, I'm going to try not to talk fast. I'm going to try not to swear, but I am from New Jersey. Kind of is what it is. But if I'm going too fast, somebody comment. I'll try to dial it back a little bit. So this is my presentation called A Man Is Not a Plan. And this presentation is named after one of my best professors in college, Dr. Gail Holian, who said to our whole class, it was an all-girls college, ladies, a man is not a plan. If a knight shows up on a white horse, he's going to have his own agenda. Make sure you can take care of yourself. And luckily for me, I was able to kind of hold that in my heart. And I had a successful career in IT, and then I moved to financial planning because I really saw a need for good financial planners that weren't motivated so much by commission and compensation, but really wanted to make sure that they help people through every stage. And you can be both, but for me, I wanted to do something a little bit more niche and focus on women. So this presentation is geared towards women. A lot of the advice is gender neutral. So I'm going to take you through all the stages of life. You may have children this age, you may be this age, and kind of just some hot tips along the way and things to think about. So if you are in high school or you have children in high school, one of the biggest things financially the biggest decisions you're going to make is college choice. You're going to want to do the math here. You don't want to be spending a ridiculous amount of money for a degree. And I apologize to all my social workers out there. You don't want to go spending $300,000 for a degree in social work, because your career compensation isn't going to allow you to pay that back. Doesn't look like college loans are going to continue to be forgiven in the current political climate. So keep an eye on those student loans. If you have children, 529s are an amazing way to save for college. If you don't end up using the money for college because you're a brilliant child or you got a scholarship, you can roll some of that into a Roth IRA in the future. They're very flexible. Some states, including New Jersey, allow you to deduct the contributions off of your income. It's really the best way to do things. When you have a new baby, what you want to do, it's one of the first things you want to do is get them set up in a 529. Even if they don't use it for college, it's more flexible. They can use it for trade school. Okay, so that's just kind of my overall in high school general advice. And there are a lot of college counselors that help with this. Definitely use the assets you can and do some research. There's lots of great books that you can use. Be cognizant of what you're doing when you're sending your child or you are going to college. Don't overlook the trades. This is something that I feel like is becoming more and more popular, is trades, and women can go into trades. There are women in construction, welding, all that stuff. It's really hard to replace someone who can take your toilet out with a robot. I always had a secret desire to be a plumber because we had leaky toilets growing up and I got very good at fixing them. Stay calm and manage your expenses as you're going through college. Don't take out a bunch of student loans to live on in a nice apartment. Everything that you put on a student loan, you're going to end up paying back exponentially with interest. Every dime helps. Try to work part-time if you can. Try to get paid internships if you can. I know America, we hate paying people for things, but I kind of feel like if you can afford to work an unpaid internship, it's sort of an unfair advantage over people who can't. If you have interns, pay them. I'm going to get off my soapbox now. In college, be a joiner. Now, if you're a little neurodivergent, find a neurodivergent-ish group to join. You need to have a network, whether it's online, something in some sort of group. You have to know people that will help you when you get out with your career. I have an alter ego I sometimes call Auntie-saurus Rex, because I don't have children, but I'm like a really strict auntie. And this presentation does get a little bit like auntie. I'm going to kind of shake my finger at you and tell you what to do. Career choice. This is a little bit, I've dropped this comment in a few of my presentations and gotten a little bit of like taken aback, but be unusual if you can. If you are going into a career and you are like everyone else in that career as far as gender, upbringing, whatever, you're not going to bring a lot to the table. It's not that you're going to bring a lot to the table. You're not going to bring a lot to the table that a lot of other people aren't. So for example, I got into IT accidentally very young, and it allowed me to be very successful because my business partner and I were always, who was also a woman, we were always like a little bit of a different perspective in the room. And when you had a room full of gentlemen in IT who were all kind of jockeying for position to try to make sure that their project was the most important, we were able to come in and cut through the BS and get the project moving. And it led to us getting more and more projects. So, you want to be a little bit different. You'll see that men who go into teaching fields are often tagged for administration positions because of whatever, but they're different. They're a little bit unusual. So try to be a little bit unusual if you can. If you can't, it's not the end of the world, but I always like to throw that out there. If you're a little bit different, you have an advantage. Do the research on your field before you get into it. I made it almost all the way through college thinking I wanted to be a teacher. And in my last year, I decided it wasn't for me. I left college with an English degree, which is pretty vague. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just going to college because I was supposed to go to college. So before you get into a career and spend a lot of time focused on that career, do some research on what it's about. Go trail someone. I found most professionals are very helpful and they want to help you do better. Trail someone, see a day in their life. I actually have an unpaid for a couple of days, and then if he likes it, I'm going to pay it. I have an intern coming in because he's really into finance. He wants to see what it's like to be a financial advisor. So I'm going to help him and say, like, this is what I do all day. Is this something that sounds fun to you? Make new friends in your field. Be helpful, be kind. Go out of your way to remember things about people. I often used to say that I've been successful in my life because I'm friendly. I answer my phone, and I just tend to work well with people and making new friends. Now, you might not be exactly like that, but there's going to be other people like you in your field who are like you, who are going to interact with you. So make new friends in your field. If you have to leave your job, they will be useful in finding you a new job. Bring your best, even if your job is the worst. So every job you do your best. I have been a bus girl, a hostess, a parking lot attendant, a salad maker. I've been a bartender. I have been a customer service rep. I've picked up phones on the call center shift that was late at night, sitting there by myself. Every job I did my best. And that's what people always noticed. And that's how I was able to move forward. In your early career, go to the office. Especially young people, this is for you. And if you're in IT, go to the office at least at first to make those connections. It is different. I realize that things are a lot online now, but I have a lot of younger clients who since the pandemic, have never worked in an office. They're just working at home and they're having a hard time making friends. They want to get married. They can't find a partner because they're always at home. So try to find something in the office, get out of the house. Find a mentor, preferably a woman. My first mentor was my boss, Melissa, who was amazing. And she was my mentor and really helped my career. And then moving forward later in life, you want to be a mentor. You want to have an annual tough conversation with yourself about your career and your goals. Are you stagnating? I had a client who I adored, and she was stagnating in a career. And I sat down with her and I had a tough conversation. I said, you were very underpaid in your field. And she said, oh, but I love my job. And it's just, they couldn't live without me. Well, the company went under, and she was then looking for a job in within a year, she got a new job. She was making almost twice what she was making at her old job. But she let like 7 years go by where her career was stagnating because she couldn't have a tough conversation with herself about where she was going in her career and was she stagnating. Don't be afraid to negotiate. And I'm full of baloney. I'm a terrible negotiator. I get really upset and afraid. I got some coaches. I practiced. I'm a little better now. I'm not the best, but I'm better than I was. So I want to tell you all out there that I am also not a great negotiator, but I've worked hard to get better at it. So marriage and family, this is some hard truths. And I do this in my presentation. This presentation isn't really a lot about finance. It's a lot about kind of changing your mindset. If you are with a partner and their attitude towards you is mediocre, that is not going to improve in most cases. Whoever you're with, you want them to have enthusiastic consent about being with you. No movie in without an attorney. Do not move in with someone or buy a house unless you clearly have contracts outlined. Marriage is a contract. Don't buy a house with someone without that contract. Life isn't a Disney movie. It's, as I said before, if the knight on the white horse shows up, he's probably going to have his own agenda. So you want to be aware that you have to watch out for yourself every step of the way. And if you find a wonderful partner like Stephanie has, like those of you and us who are out there who are happily married, that's great. But you still have to make sure you can take care of yourself. Watch that oven. Keep those unwanted buns out. You don't want to get trapped in a mediocre relationship with an accidental pregnancy, especially in today's climate. Is it love or is it love bombing? Emotionally abusive partners will often start out with a very full court press. You're the best person I've ever met. I've never met anyone like you. You're amazing, blah, 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 blah. And that's all to get you hooked on that I forget what the hormone is. Oxytocin, maybe. Stephanie probably knows. Watch that. It's very easy to get. Limerence is another thing, like that come from love bombing, where you have that first like excitement of a new relationship. Sometimes that's amazing. Sometimes it's toxic. It's 2024. We have freezers. If you are getting older and you really want to have children, look into freezing your eggs. It's something that will take the pressure off, keep you from possibly having a partner that is going to be a less than fabulous parent. Another thing, as you're getting older and thinking about starting a family, your boss's attitude towards family matters, and so does yours. If you are working for a boss that isn't understanding about other employees who have to call out sick because their kids are sick, show up late because their kids have stuff, leave early because their kids have activities, if that's frowned upon where you're working and that's something you want to do, go look around, polish up your resume, try to find somewhere more flexible. I don't have kids, so I've been on the other side of like, wow, like I never get to do this. I never get to do that. I'm a big believer in flexible work. Do your job in the hours that you can do it. I don't care if it's 8 to 5 or whatever, as long as you're getting your job done. Look for a boss like that. I'm not done lecturing you yet. The nuclear family had issues in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And I'm sorry to just read my slides at you, but there's a reason that we got rid of the system that was in place. If you want to stay home, you better to be able to afford it. And what that means is your partner should be fully funding their retirement, fully funding your retirement. You should have a 6 to 12 month emergency fund. This person should be able to pay you some sort of salary on top of everything else, not just household expenses, for you to make sure that you're building up your nest egg. You give up a lot staying at home with in your career, your earnings years, everything else. Gaps in your resume equals pay gaps later. And I can't tell you how many women have been in my office. They took off 15 years to have kids, and the workforce completely changed when they got back. They were doing jobs that were paying a third of what they were making before they had kids. Being a good parent, you have to make sure that part of being a good parent is taking care of your children and being responsible and making sure you have the right term life insurance to protect them if something happens to you. Make sure you have a will. Make sure that you have people picked out to take care of your children in case something happens to you and your spouse. And this hits home a lot. I deal with widows and I deal with this stuff every day. You have to think of these things. But that's more important than getting your kid to ballet or karate or whatever. The season of chaos when your kids are little isn't an excuse for checking the big boxes. You have to get tough on your reluctant spouses if you find yourself doing everything, because every time you get your spouse to try to do something, you have to either deal with it in therapy, you have to get tough with them. The more you put on your plate, if you are carrying the mental load, the more burnout you're going to become. So you want to make the right kinds of sacrifices and push to have your partner be a good partner. And if they can't, you've got to, I'm not saying you have to get divorced, but you have to figure out something so that you aren't giving up your whole life while you're raising your children. And I want to add, I don't have children, so I know everything and I know how easy this is. I always feel like it's a little obnoxious for me to say that when I don't have kids, but I've seen the fallout, which is why I say stuff like that. This is my anti-face. And this is the most important decision financially you are going to make in your whole life is who you pick to be the other parent of your children. This can decimate you financially, or this can improve your life financially. So be careful, get the birth control on lock, make sure you are picking with thought the other parent of your kid. That is as tough as I get. Protecting yourself before you get married. Make sure your partner, before you have kids with them, understands what's involved in having kids. There's a lot of people out there, they're called Disney dads or weekend parents or whatever. They have absolutely no idea what is involved in having children, raising children, the day-to-day grind. Really think about it, have some conversations, go to pre-Cana, borrow a kid for a weekend. I'm sure you can find a parent to let you take their kid out for the day and, take them Do whatever you want. It's not all baseball games and trips to Disney. Make sure you understand the day-to-day consequences of having children. During marriage, you always want to meet with your financial professionals and your tax professionals together. I'm going to say that again because it's really important. Meet with especially your tax professionals together. At least once a week in my practice, I have someone come in whose partner has their own business and the books are cooked. They've been signing off on tax returns for years that they have no idea what's going on. Fraud's being committed. They end up, it looks like they have no money because their partner's playing smoke and mirrors. If you are married and filing your taxes together, attend that meeting with the accountant. Make sure you have a basic understanding of what is going on. That is probably one of the most important things you'll hear today. And the other one is, if you don't understand it, don't sign it. And also another thing that if I had a daughter, I would tell her this: stay near your village. If you have good family, good friends, good support system, and you want to have children, stay near your village if you can. I understand our careers take us all different places, and that's not always possible. But something that, what I see a lot is emotionally abusive partners taking their partner away from their support system so that they can whittle them down and emotionally abuse them. Make sure you know where all of your paperwork is, your birth certificate, your social security cards. I'm not sure if you're aware, there's legislation in front of Congress now to supposedly combat voter fraud that requires your voter registration to match your birth certificate. Well, my voter registration doesn't match my birth certificate because I got married. Now I have a passport, so that's what I can use to prove my citizenship. But don't lose all this stuff. Make sure you know where it is. Have it somewhere safe. Have it in a fireproof bag or in a safe in your home so you don't lose it. To get off the yelling at you train and give you a little positive vibe, money date nights are a great way to work together towards goals. Once you start to reach your goals, they're going to start to get really fun. I work when I have couples that want to work together on money. I have a really fun budgeting system. It's a little complicated. It involves kind of using credit cards for things, but and then paying them off every week. But it's really great because you can kind of see every week. You can have like a little contest, like, well, I'll save this. I took lunch in, and it can get fun. Working as a team when you're married with finances can bring you closer together, make you have shared goals, and generally overall improve the health of your marriage. Navigating divorce and finances. If you are thinking of getting divorced, before you say the words and before you do anything serious, like say the words you want to get divorced, get prepared yourself. Make sure you understand your financial position. Make sure you understand money going in, money going out. What do you owe on your house? What's your house worth? Can I afford the house on my own? All this different stuff. Before you even say the words, try to get your arms wrapped around that. There are so many great resources online now. Stephanie and I met through another divorce professionals group. And in that group, there are people that are so down to a niche. I've never seen anything like it. And they were all experts in their field. They all put online content out. I put online content out, and then I also will talk to anybody for a half an hour. You can book on my website, See Change Financial Planning. I'll have a chat with you. And I will, say like, hey, look out for this, look out for that. There's so many resources online. Get prepared first. When you are navigating your divorce, use professionals if you can afford it. And if not, you have to be your own professional. I have a divorce checklist that if you want to drop me an email, I'll provide it to you. You want to make sure that your kids are taken care of with properly executed life insurance. This is another thing I see all the time, which is why I put it on the slide. You want to make sure that the policy is in your name on your spouse. So you hold the policy, you know if it's getting paid or not. You make sure you're the beneficiary. You make sure you have all that. There is so much shady grab ass that a bitter person you were married to can do to not follow the rules. And the courts are so backlogged, they aren't doing a whole lot depending on what state you're in. I'm hearing a lot from my clients that the courts are just like, oh, this person didn't follow all the rules. Well, we're too busy. We don't know what to tell you. So you have to protect yourself. No one is coming to save you. Okay. You also, too, if you are splitting up your assets, you want to make sure you're not the one getting stuck with all the taxes. If your spouse has a lot of stock options as compensation, you want them to be split equally on the taxes on the capital gains. So if you have 1,000 shares of Amazon and half of them were bought for $100 and half of them were bought for $500, the person who sells them from the $500 pool is going to pay a lot less in taxes. And the person that has them in the $100 pool is going to get roasted on taxes. So you want to work with a professional, or make sure you understand, do a spreadsheet so you understand these shares are going to hit this much in taxes. These shares are going to hit this much, so you don't get stuck holding the bill. I see that all the time. That's another thing I see quite a bit. Okay, you're divorced. Why is divorce expensive? Because it's worth it. You are now getting older and you don't want to get married again, or maybe you are a widow or whatever. Women outlive men. I forget the exact average. It's something like 15 years. You're going to spend 10 to 15 years, more than likely, by yourself without your spouse, if you are a woman. So my advice on this is another thing I see a lot, is make good friends and keep in touch with them. Stay active. My father passed away not this past August, the August before. And he and my mom had been together since they were 16 years old. Their first date was the junior prom. And my mom had a hard time, but my mom has kayak club. She's got book club. She's got volunteer this. She's got tennis that. She's got golf. So she kind of, it hit her like a ton of bricks. She got right back into her routine with her friends. She's still sad, but she's not sitting home by herself, sad and lonely all the time, because she had all of this stuff in place to keep her social life, her human interaction. We need human interaction. We need friends. We need contact. And this old man here is trying to cook for himself. Men in general, and I think this will we'll see this evolve a little bit as the silent generation is pretty much exited the building and the boomers start to get older. But men usually want to get married again. Men like being married. They're happy. They like being taken care of. Women usually don't want to get married again. So I just like this picture of this old guy trying to cook a pancake. Preserve your friendships. Figure out where you want to live. I love the idea of a Golden Girls house and living with all my friends. Just something to think about as you get older, to make sure that you protect yourself in these cases. Okay, so I always put this slide up and at the end of my live presentations, and I love to hear the lived experiences from the women that attend my seminars. And I don't know with this platform if I can really do that, but I'll share a really good one with you for right now. So this was one. It was a woman who raised her hand, and this is one of the things where I really got on my high horse about life insurance. And she had gone through 2 pretty miserable divorces. The first one, she had the guy that she left had to make her the beneficiary of his work life insurance. They had 2 children together that were little. This is all in the 80s. It's all way water under the bridge. Her children were young in the 80s, and he had to make her the beneficiary of his work life insurance policy. And they went through court. He did it. He signed the document. And then he promptly, 6 months later, changed the beneficiary to his sister. And he died at 42, like a year after they got divorced. And she never got any child support. She never got any alimony. The sister had some drinking problems, spent all the money, never gave her a dime. So that's one of the many stories where I'm like, you have to make sure that you're in charge of the insurance, because something like that could happen. And I have a million of them. So that's how I always end my presentations. And that usually, this in person, I do a lot of stuff in person. That usually leads to, I usually hear some really great stories from people about various things that either they knew ahead of time and it turned out great, or they got taken advantage of, and they learned from it and told their friends. So that's kind of it. That's my man is not a plan in a nutshell.
I appreciate that. Thank you so
My
much.
nose just got so itchy.
Yeah, I laugh because that happens to me a lot. I'll be presenting and I'm like, why is my nose itchy? It's like,
I don't know. It's strange. But yes, that's my favorite part of the presentation at the end, because they usually have like wine and charcuterie, and you know how moms get, especially younger moms or moms in their 30s and 40s, if they get out of the house for the night. It's usually a really interesting perspective. I get to hear all these different stories. That's my favorite part of my A Man Is Not a Plan presentation.
well, there really is. I mean, there's how many times that, we hear people that their husband passes away and they don't know what credit cards they have. They don't know what life insurance they have or what finances they have. They know nothing. And so all of a sudden they're screwed. Or even the other side. I mean, knowing what your finances are in our own family, my husband's dad went to go, I forgot what he is. He's like 90. And he wanted to borrow money. I don't remember what the reason was, but he found out he had no credit history. And he's like, I've been paying a credit card for like 60 years. What the heck is going on? Well, it ended up that he had taken a credit card out as a business. He didn't know that he did that. It was the company that had him do that. So here he was all of these years thinking that he was, increasing his financial portfolio, and he has zero credit. So here he is at 90 trying to change his credit profile, which also, of course, affects my mother-in-law too. So, I mean, all of these things, it's really important to know whether it's divorce, whether it's, someone passing away, but we can't be oblivious to this stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of the general overall message. And one of the big reasons I did get involved in this was when this person that I knew passed away, and their surviving spouse had been one of those people that was like, that's their job. My job is this. Their job is the money. I don't want to know about it. I don't want to hear about it. And it's so dangerous to have that attitude, especially in America. Our financial system is incredibly complex. It's definitely designed there are quite a few things out there designed to, I hate to say it, rip you off. Mm-hmm. And, you have to really be constant. It's a shame, but you have to constantly be vigilant against getting ripped off. And that's why you can't just stick your head in the sand. You've got to be aware. You've got to look at these things, work with professionals. If you can afford it, if you can afford a financial advisor, that's great. I offer a lot of low-cost solutions, hourly planning. That's a little unusual. Not a lot of financial advisors do that. But if you have specific questions and you don't know how to set up your 401k, and you don't even know what you're putting your 401k into, you can call me, book an hour. I will answer your top 5 financial questions. My hourly rate is $250 an hour with a 2-hour minimum. And I'll do a lot in that 2 hours. I will get you, I'll answer a lot of questions and get you on the right path.
Yeah, that's excellent. And because especially, this is not just about divorce or grief. I mean, everyone needs to be aware of this. There's so many people that, like you said in the beginning, I really liked where, the man is not the plan. Well, you got a degree, you moved forward in your career, and then you decided to stay home with your kids. Beautiful. That's wonderful. But how are you making sure that you're being taken care of if something doesn't work out the way you thought it was going to, whatever that thing is? So being able to make sure that you're protecting yourself, being aware of your finances, making plans and following through with it, and coming together on it. Having one person do all of it and no conversations go on is terrible, because then that becomes it feels like controlling and manipulation that happens all the time with finances.
Yeah. And I get it. I see my friends who had babies having to go back to work 12 weeks, 8 weeks, which is barbaric.
Yeah.
And again, I won't hop on my soapbox. And I understand you want to stay home with your babies. I understand it's scary to drop them off at a daycare, but you also can't just be like, we'll figure it out. You have to make sure that your partner is on board with it. A lot of people who, and I'm trying not to be rude here, but a lot of people who are in charge of everything and the other spouse is staying home, they don't appreciate that unpaid labor. being the stay-at-home
100%.
parent and a full-time mom is never, in America, it is not appreciated. And I think that's crap. I think that it should be something where you should be compensated to stay home for at least a year with your kids. Like, they should be with their moms at that time. But unfortunately, in the world we live in, you have to get tough and you have to realize, and that's why the one slide was, when you're building your career, you can't waste too much time on a crappy job. If you're working for a crappy boss and he's Mr. Smithers and you know that you leaving and whatever, you're sick, your kid has the flu, they're going to be mad on it. Immediately polish your resume, start looking for a new job. A job is a job is a job. I have left my career. I've changed careers twice to have my dream job. And they didn't turn out, it's still a job. Like, and I do love what I do and it's fun and it's fulfilling. It's still a job. Like, it's at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you are staying on top of your career so that you can take care of yourself if the worst happens. And that's why my rules are, if you're staying at home, they better be fully funding a Roth IRA for you while fully funding their own. They should be giving you a salary to pay for all that 8 hours a day of childcare, driving, grocery shopping, cooking. A stay-at-home mom saves a family so much money. You have to make sure your partner appreciates it before you go jumping on that bandwagon.
I think, and I'm just going to throw this in too, when we had a little bit of a switch for when we had our first child, we were older parents, and my husband, I had a great teaching career. I was tenured, making really good money in New York. I mean, that's like, if you're going to be a teacher, anyone who's watching, you want to be one in New York. They get well compensated, at least in Long Island. But anyway, so I had this great job that I'd been there for a long time. And so when it was time to go back to work, I didn't really want to, but I was like, okay, I got to get back into this. And my husband, he was the one who stayed home because he didn't have the tenure. He didn't have all that stuff. So he stayed home. And I will tell you that I would come home, I'd be tired from work, and he'd be like giving me the baby, like, oh, take the baby.
Yeah,
and he was exhausted for the 8 hours. And having that role reversal, he got to, number one, really appreciate what it was like to stay home. So there was no complaints about any of it, where it was like, I am exhausted, and then during the summertime when it was both of us together, I was like, I couldn't do this full time. Yeah, I think being a stay-at-home mom is actually more difficult. Work was the break.
Yeah. My sister's husband worked for a progressive company, and he got close to 4 or 5 months of paternity leave.
Wow.
And I think that, again, I think that should be, I don't know why we're all so worried about people like working themselves to death every day. And he's having that time together with the babies when they had their kids to like see what it's like every day really did open his eyes to like, whoa, there's so much to do.
Yep. Yeah. Because so many people don't get that appreciation. They don't understand. You're not sleeping at night. You're always on the go. There's always somebody that needs something from you. There's no break from being a parent. And so like when you go to work,
cleaning all the time. I don't have kids. It's my house again. Ugh. Like, I always say that I would love to, I'll clean someone else's house if they come clean mine, because at least that's interesting. I can check out all their stuff.
Yeah.
But when you're doing the same thing every day and making that same Meatloaf Monday, Taco Tuesday, it's exhausting. It's not mentally challenging. It's like, you definitely get into a groove, and that where it's like you get kind of caught up in like the mundane that still needs to be done. So that's always when people romanticize being a stay-at-home parent. I think it's amazing. I think you should stay home with your kids, but you have to be aware of what you're giving up and keep your, I think I went by it on the slide. Keep a foot in the door of your career. Make sure you're in professional organizations, attend like online events. I joined this presentation guild, which is a really cool thing for people that create presentations. I accidentally joined it one day because I was trying to do something in PowerPoint. I'm like, oh, and it's fabulous. And I don't want to do that for a living, but I still go to the events for that group because I get amazing tips, and they're all networking. And now I'm going to hire one of them to really like polish my presentation and make it look like fabulous. So just keep a toe in. Mm-hmm. Don't let yourself completely get into the I'm home and that's it. And,
Well, and I'm going to say too, I think this is a really cool story, is that my half sister, who's older than me, is a lawyer, and she did environmental law for years and years. She actually met her husband right out of law school at the first firm that she was working at, really like high level firm that she was at, doing really well. And they had 2 children. And then she was like, you know what, this is starting to be a little much. I think I'm going to stay home. They decided that. And then they had a third child and a fourth child. So she continued to stay home. So there was like 12 years of her being at home. And she started to get into that place of like, she would do actually pro bono work sometimes just to kind of keep her foot in the door, just like you said. But every once in a while, she's like, I'm just not stimulated. Like being home with the kids, she's like, I love them. And I'm so grateful that I had this time. But like the pile of laundry with 4 kids and then making the dinner and driving everywhere. Like, she's like, I like that I'm able to have that time with them, but I need something more. So as the first child actually was looking to, I think it was like her last year where she was looking to go to college and things started to the kids were moving up. She said, I'm thinking about going back to work, but I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get a job. And so she found out about an assistant DA position. And she said, this is totally out of my wheelhouse, but this is something that sounds really interesting to me. It's giving back to the community. And she's like, and you know what, even though I haven't been working in 12 years or whatever it is, I'm going to just try. Because so often women, they feel like they don't check off all the boxes of what they're looking for in a career. So we don't go for the thing. And my sister had read that same, like we read at the same time. And she was like, I'm going to just throw it in there and see. Yeah. Well, they hired her and they absolutely, it was supposed to be like a part-time position. They loved her. Yeah. She is there. She's been there for years now. She absolutely loves her career. And had she not taken the chance and just put it in there just in case, she wouldn't be doing that. She wouldn't be helping all the people that she's helping. So,
that's a great story. I love that. Because
right?
I think I read it somewhere that women will apply for a job unless they can do absolutely everything in the job description. And men will apply for a job if they can do like 3 out of the 10. They're like, I figure it out.
There was a
There's a happy medium somewhere.
There was a joke. I went to a women's conference and there was a CEO of some large company. I don't remember the name of it, but she was talking about the same kind of thing. And she was like, there'll be a position for someone to breastfeed. And the woman will be like, oh my God, well, I've breastfed 2 babies and, I've whatever, maybe I should apply. And the dude's like, I saw my wife do it once, so I'll apply for that.
That's a great joke. I love that. Yeah. So it's definitely, there's a lot of what I do actually isn't so much like investment management and figuring that out. A lot of times it's unclogging things like this is holding you back. This has to go. This is what you need to do. This isn't, like you're not putting enough money in your 401k. You're not getting the match. A lot of times, like what I do is just getting people or getting them to the right spots where they can figure everything out themselves. And I do really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
I do that too, but it's not for finances.
Yeah,
it's your life in general. It's so funny. But yeah, so anyone who's following this, make sure that you go and follow Michelle, take her up on her offer, go talk to her. She'll talk to you. She can set up an appointment with you. But, it doesn't have to be married. I was talking to someone yesterday. She's like, well, I was never married in all my crappy relationships and I'm financially in a mess. And I'm like, well, get the right support. I mean, it's always about having the right people on your team. What we've been talking about this since last week is having that team to help you grow. Like whatever those people that you need to be on your team, it's always about growing, because if we're not growing, we're dying. So we don't want to stay stagnant. We want to move forward. So Michelle, thank you again so much for coming and hanging out with us.
Again, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And if anybody's watching this on because I'm on all the different social medias right now, if you were watching this from somewhere where you can't watch the replay, I'm going to just remind everyone that if you are a female, go over to my Facebook group. It's divorce. Oh, what is it called? Divorce support. Like we just changed it. Divorce support, heal, rebuild, and thrive. If you are a dude and you need support, or women too, you're fine. Go to YouTube and you can watch the replays on YouTube, which is Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt. And you can see all the YouTube videos and all the other stuff that we have. So remember that you're not alone. Remember that anything is possible when you take the right action with the right people and the right support. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us today. Never forget, you are way stronger than you realize. See you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.